Mourinho are having to deal with. They've travelled 35 miles north of Old Trafford to Turf Moor, and they're on the attack straight away in their change kit of pink shirts, black shorts, black socks. That in itself is a tribute to the old Sporting Pink newspaper in Manchester. In the pre-internet days, that's how United fans used to get their football results on a Saturday tea time on their way away from Old Trafford. You've just seen the first shot of Jose Mourinho, and here's his striker Romelu Lukaku, who finds the recalled Luke Shaw to the England squad this week. Now Alexis Sanchez in the starting 11. He was on the bench against Tottenham. Terrific atmosphere, Graham Lasso. You used to play football in this part of the world. You know how passionate they are. And it's a real test for Manchester United today, isn't it?
It certainly is, but they've started the game very well. From kick-off, good possession. It's all about the energy in these opening 15 minutes from a United perspective. They've got to go and show that they're really up for this game. If they give Burnley any sniff at all that they're not right physically and mentally, Burnley, I will expect to exploit that.
Chris Wood, the New Zealand, has done very well to hold that ball up. He was waiting for support. It was slow to arrive, and it's clipped through by Bardsley, the former Manchester United player, at right back. But Chris Wood yet to get off the mark in the Premier League this season. He got 10 in the league for Burnley last year after signing from Leeds United. He has managed 2 in the Europa League, which Burnley were eliminated from in the final qualifier against Olympiacos here on Thursday night. A 1-1 draw. They went out 4-2 on aggregate, so failed to make the group stages in what was their first European campaign for 51 years, courtesy of finishing 7th last season. Chip over the top by Lindelof finds Lukaku onside. Here's Alexis. He squares it for Lingard. Still Lingard! And it's hit the stanchion behind the goal and rolled behind the net. Time stood still for a moment in Burnley.
Just asked a bit too much of it, didn't he? Lingard set it out, lovely footwork to get it out of his feet, and just set it off a bit too wide. It had that curl on it, couldn't quite bring it back. Joe Hart in the goal for Burnley was rooted to the spot. But as I said, it's an excellent start by Manchester United. Fellaini playing the deeper of the 3 midfielders. Matic slightly in front of him to the left, Pogba to the right, and almost dropping into a back 3. Fellaini when United have possession. That allows both the fullbacks, Valencia and Shaw, to get forwards.
They're also getting the ball forward to Romelu Lukaku very quickly indeed. The clip towards Alexis, who nips in behind me, and then Bardsley clears. They're at 6s and 7s at the back here, Burnley, and it's a fast start, as Graham described, by Manchester United, and John Moss had a great view of that. Phil Bardsley, a physical defender, the right back, clatters into Paul Pogba, and United have a free kick. They've lost 2 of their opening 3 league games for the first time since 1992, Manchester United. They haven't lost 3 of their opening 4 since 1986. Here's Alexis, who has opted out of Chile's 2 friendlies in the upcoming break, looking for Fellaini on that back post. Not cleared sufficiently yet by Burnley. Hook back in on Matic. Bardsley's header will drop here to Pogba. Now Shaw, who scored in the opener against Leicester. He has another go low. Joe Hart smothers it. But they can barely get out of their own penalty area at the moment, the home side.
That's right. Shaw in confident form after his goal and his England selection to the upcoming squad. Confident strike. This is the good footwork again by him, out of his feet. We saw Kyle Walker smash one in from that sort of distance yesterday, didn't we, for Man City? Luke Shaw trying to do the same thing.
And then we had dinner and put our heads down in what has become Jose Mourinho's home, the hotel in Manchester, and he's still there over 2 years into his reign. We didn't see him. United fans in good voice. The way to our right hand side, a short trip up the M60, M65 and M66 motorways.
Robbie and Kyle were talking in the studio before the game in the build-up to this match about back to basics. We saw that in the warm-up, the back 4 being worked very hard in very simple terms, how to defend as a unit. And what I like about this start from Manchester United is they're They're not complicating things. They've got an obvious pattern and shape to the team. Good sense of the sort of direction that they've worked on, and I think Burnley are going to have to make sure they keep those spaces between the defence and midfield very, very tight at the moment, because as you rightly said, Arlo, they're going back to front quite quickly into Lukaku.
Well, here's Lindelof, who was on the bench against Spurs, the 3-0 defeat on Monday night, which prompted that remarkable Mourinho press conference where he was barking the word respect, respect, respect as he exited stage right. Lee Dixon and I were in that press conference, in that tight press conference room in the bowels of Old Trafford, and we shall always remember Lee's raised eyebrow upon Mourinho's exit, which said it all. This is the fourth different centre-back partnership in the fourth match of the season in the Premier League for Manchester United. Smalling and Lindelof. Phil Jones, of course, injured, limped off with that hamstring problem in the second half against Spurs. Flip over the top towards Chris Wood, and they'll feel better about things, Burnley, having had a couple of touches in the middle of the park.
Yeah, that was a nice bit of work in midfield, getting a player free on the ball to get his head up and splitting two United centre-backs there. Wood.
Another long ball forward towards Alexis, and Joe Hart is equal to that. It's a very direct game so far. Here's Bardsley. Aaron Lennon ahead of him down the touchline. Tarkowski also recalled to the England squad this week. He was on standby for the World Cup. Charlie Taylor gets it back. Dwight O'Neill is down that left-hand side, but here's Chris Wood. O'Neill with 31 on his back, 18 years of age, his first Premier League start. He was a Manchester United player until the age of 14. He was released, he joined Burnley, and here he is in the Premier League. His first start is against his former club. Here's Shaw. Alexis has gone to the back post. Lukaku with his arm raised. Matic. Lukaku again waving for the ball on the back post. Alexis finds Pogba. There's space on the right-hand side here for the captain Valencia. Taylor is the defender. It comes in. It's flicked goalwards by Jesse Lingard. No great conviction in the attempted finish. It's clawed away in the end after a deflection by Joe Hart.
Well, there's an inquest going on now in the Burnley penalty area. Look at the bodies Manchester United have got forward, and Burnley defenders static, not picking up individuals, just trying to create a block across the 6-yard line. 3 of them there. Lingard with a deft touch, and Hart desperate really, trying to clear that.
Lingard enjoyed his first start of the season against Spurs. He tweeted after that defeat, stay positive and keep the faith. The referee spotted an infringement, hence why there was no corner kick. Valencia. Alexis, whose United career has yet to really get started, is today the day. Lingard tries the curler again and gets it all wrong.
See how frustrated he is with that. He's technically good enough to at least get that on target. To Joe Hart's left. Good play by Alexis Sanchez there. Lovely first touch. And the finish let him down.
Groans from the Burnley fans, and we're just about in amongst them here. They felt that Chris Wood was being fouled. Jose Mourinho saying about Luke Shaw, he's played 3 very good matches. It's not easy when your team loses 2 of them, but he said he's physically stronger, mentally stronger. He has a better understanding tactically. We're very, very happy with him. And one of the criticisms levelled at Mourinho this week is the apparent inability to coach players. Well, hasn't he ultimately done a decent job with Luke Shaw, who was definitely out of favour, thrown under the bus by the manager. But could Mourinho say, well, actually, tough love has worked with Luke Shaw?
Well, 3 games in, you could say it's still a work in progress. And I think Luke Shaw has had an opportunity to have a good pre-season, come back motivated, and despite all the distractions and maybe some of the history with Mourinho, he's got his head down and he's playing very well at the moment.
I saw shots of him in the tunnel before the game. He was all smiles, shaking hands with each member, obviously, of his own team, but also the players and coaching staff of the opposition as they filed out onto the field. There just ahead of Alexis, but it falls here to Matic. Now Pogba. Here's Shaw. Pogba again. Lennon is the defender. He switches the points of attack out to Antonio Valencia. Matic against Charlie Taylor. Feet of Valencia. He's looking for the overlap from Lingard. He gets it. The low ball in is a dangerous one, and it's smothered well by Joe Hart. The ball just skipped awkwardly just in front of him, but he gathered it cleanly.
Again, nice tempo by Manchester United's play. Good movement. Lingard finding himself in that wide area. It's a decent ball in. Hart reading the situation well, collects comfortably.
He's been given the freedom of Lancashire so far, Jesse Lingard, hasn't he? You can see on the far side of the ground, just out of shot, that Sean Dyche has turned around and now, or was in deep conversation with his bench. He's now marched Sergeant Major-like back to the edge of his technical area. Will he be concerned, Graham, with this start by his team?
Yeah, he will. I mean, obviously they haven't conceded, so it's not too bad. It's just they're trying to work out Manchester United's shape and position of players. Lingard's got a very free role. So it's going to take some discipline either from midfield players or communication from defenders just to make sure that he's locked down a little bit more.
Wood with a header, Smalling with the challenge, and then Luke Shaw has gone in heavily on Aaron Lennon. And he's touching the back or the side, you should say, of his head. John Moss was across. It's a free kick.
So you see Luke Shaw's looking at the ball. It's a genuine attempt. Lennon gets there first. Clearly a foul, but nothing particularly cynical about that challenge.
Lennon's still rubbing his head, but he appears to be okay to continue. Burnley drew their opening game 0-0 at Southampton. Since then, a 3-1 defeat at home here to Watford, then 4-2 at Fulham last weekend. So 7 goals conceded in their last 2. McNeil curls it in. And he wins the header. Who can get to the loose ball? It was actually Fellaini from a seated position. Put back in by Westwood, and he was off his line. Again, direct from Manchester United. Was there a push by Alexis? Yes, says the referee. I think Alexis mainly had his eye on the ball. Barnsley slow to get up. Burnley have a free kick.
Just see Alexis just trying to get an eye on him. I think it's as Bardsley hits the ground that he hurts the back of his head. There, look, he comes down heavily on the back of his head there.
Well, Alexis did have his eye on the ball. That was after peering intently at Bardsley first.
Yeah, trying to get himself in a position where he can protect the ball.
One goal in his last 12 Premier League appearances for Manchester United, Alexis Sanchez. 3 goals in his 20 appearances in all competitions. Tarkowski wins the header above Fellaini. Nobody at the back post, though, for Burnley.
That's a great header by Tarkowski as well against Fellaini. Directed it into what is a very dangerous area.
To Lingard, who's seeing a lot of the ball in these opening quarter of an hour or so. Good challenge from Tarkowski, still with United. Lingard again. Matic can advance here. Lingard chased by Lennon. Now Alexis. Pogba's making a burst into the penalty area. He's the target.
Taylor did well there, spotted that Pogba had made a run in behind me. Covered that run and just made sure that Pogba wasn't going to get anywhere near the ball. It's a good start, as we said, by Manchester United, first 15 minutes, but they've got to build on this. And when you're feeling a bit insecure as a team, there is a moment where you might have started the game well, but then that next period of the game, you've got to keep your concentration, keep your focus, and not let your mind drift to maybe more negative thoughts.
There's Bardsley. Keeping Matthew Lowton out of the team. Lennon. Wood drops it back to Bardsley. There are 4 cloud and blue shirts to aim for. They're being marked by 5 pink shirts of Manchester United. Bardsley with the cross. Lindelof with the header at the near post.
A couple of opportunities there for Phil Bardsley to cross the ball. Burnley had worked the ball well, patiently allowing bodies to get into the box. A couple of chances to maybe get it in a little bit earlier than it eventually did.
Hendrick feels it nicely into the path of Cork. There's McNeil. Taylor. Hanging cross. De Gea. Under no pressure, not great communication from Luke Shaw.
That's a very good punch though by De Gea. A lot of distance on that because Aaron Lennon was coming in at the far post. Anything short was into his path.
Lennon through the legs of Shaw towards Bardsley. Was he bundled over by Alexis? Yes, he was, right in front of the travelling Manchester United fans.
Should be a yellow card. Oh, it is. The clue for that was the position Bardsley's in. Alexis is in completely the wrong position. A touch from Bardsley would take him into the penalty area. So it's definitely a foul. And I agree with the referee, a yellow card.
Lennon is lurking on the edge of the penalty area. There are 3 Burnley players now, 2 Burnley players around this. McNeil has his arm raised. Westwood is there as well. Tarkowski is just behind me on the back post, being marked by Fellaini. Wood in the centre of the goal. Cork is pointing to his foot on the edge of the area where he wants it. They've got options here, Burnley. What have they been practicing on since Thursday?
Too many options, in the sense that it was a confused ball into the box. It didn't have the pace or the accuracy on it to trouble De Gea, and there was a huge amount of space on the edge of the box initially for Jack Cork. Voted Burnley's Young Player of the Year last season. He made his Premier League debut. And Dwight McNeil as a substitute against Bournemouth on the final day. Started against Olympiacos during the week. His first senior start. Acquitted himself very well. Sean Dyche said he gave a good account of himself. He and his family should be very proud, and his reward a start against his former club Manchester United. Pogba. I suppose all the talk of the centre-back woes for Manchester United is kind of taking the spotlight off Paul Pogba. I'm sure that won't last for long. This newspaper reports on Sunday morning here in England that his preference is now not Barcelona but Juventus. A return to Turin to team up with Cristiano Ronaldo. Lingard. Pogba. Shaw. He stands it up towards the back post. Lukaku is there. Taylor with the header clear. Then he felt that there was a push in the back by Lukaku.
And the free kick is given.
Just a push by Lukaku, trying to push Taylor, the left back for Burnley, under the ball a little bit so he can control it on his chest and get a shot away. Well spotted by the ref.
Lukaku has one Premier League goal this season down in the defeat at Brighton. He scored 7 in his first 7 Premier League games for United, 10 in 30 since. United could use a rich vein of goal-scoring form from Romelu Lukaku.
Just seeing there again Fellaini from Joe Hart's free kick. He drops in and creates that back three again. So if you see him now from where we are, he's in the middle of Smalling and Lindelof.
Sean Dyche, who was bitterly disappointed that his side went out of the Europa League, but did admit and concede that it provides some clarity now for his side in terms of the Premier League. Fellaini wins the header commandingly. Tarkowski was hovering behind him. Alexis lobs it down the line for Pogba. And the home fans enjoyed that.